is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Hey there folks, welcome to this brand new musical vlog series of mine. I mentioned in the last general vlog that I would be doing these. Don't worry if you are watching this channel because of the gaming goodness, that will all still be coming as well. I wanted to do this as a separate series of vlogs because I wanted to share my musical journey with you all in learning the guitar. And just, I think like most people, I've had a guitar in my life for quite some time and never quite got to learn it properly, always kind of hovered in the beginner mode, and I finally found this oomph to get myself into it, so I wanted to share that journey with people. This has been a real, I mentioned this a number of weeks ago and I've had things on, but I've also kind of been very wary of doing it because I mean, it's hard enough putting yourself out there as a vlogger, as someone doing a gaming channel. If anyone's watched my really early vlogs of just doing the gaming stuff, I was really sensitive, I was really quite shy, nothing like I am now, but only by a process of putting myself out there again and again and again did I become really comfortable on camera, really comfortable chatting while I was gaming, all of these things. But when it comes to putting yourself out there, I don't think there's anything quite as daunting as on a musical aspect, because I don't know why that is. I think there's just an inner... I mean, if anyone was to sit down at a group of people around a table and say, right, everybody sing for 2 minutes, I think we'd all be like, oh, I don't think so, mate, you know. On your own, just sing to the group. So I think just putting yourself out there on a musical sense, I mean, I guess you see it all the time on all these crazy shows where, you know, auditioning for things and such like, but it really was something that I thought long and hard about because, I don't know, just maybe because it's just because I haven't sang in front of people before, or maybe it's just because, you know, I'm I don't know, but it was quite a daunting thing anyway. So anyway, here we are. This is why it's taken me a little while to do one. And first things first, just to share with you the new setup. Obviously, if you're used to watching my vlogs to do with gaming, they're in the other room, so the backdrop's different. I've moved everything into where I do my chill out area that I explained in a previous vlog. I'm in that area just looking out into the garden, which is where all the light's coming in, and I thought this is the place where we will do the musical vlog. So I've had to move the laptops come through with me for recording purposes at the moment. I've no idea how this sound's going to work. This is the first time we've tried this. I've got the Rode microphone that I usually use, but it's kind of more of a distance from me because obviously when we get going with the guitar a little bit, I don't want it getting overwhelmed with the sound. So I've kind of got that a little bit further away than normal, but its sensitivity's at like 100. So we'll see how we get on anyway. The amp that I have, if we ever get round to playing the electric and acoustic, it is capable of recording straight to the laptop, so we could get a much purer sound, more professional sound as we progress on this journey of mine, as long as I keep going. But we'll worry about that you know, when we're trying to play full songs and such like. My idea at the moment is that with every vlog I'll try and learn a song to go with it. So I would sort of walk through what I did learning it, what my practice routine was for that week, and then try and put, probably, I don't know if I'll put it in the same video. I think what I'll do is do the musical vlog as a vlog, and then do the music, the you know, vlog music vid to go with it as a separate video, and maybe do it that way, and hopefully my singing doesn't hurt too many ears. But we'll see how we go. Whether or not I'm capable of learning a song every week is an entirely different story, but you can manage that by picking songs not too beyond where you are. But what I'd like to do, we'll probably start with some songs that I know that I've got most of in my head, things that I've been playing on and off for quite some time, and we'll then progress onto extra sections of those songs that I don't know yet. But firstly, we'll look at the equipment that I have. I've got 3 guitars, I've got 1 amp, which I've just treated myself to, and we'll run through them. I'll try and keep these vlogs much like my other vlogs where I don't have to edit them too much, but with these sorts of videos, obviously I'm going to be leaning over, getting stuff and sort of prepping myself to talk about certain items. Sometimes the music might not go to plan, so I'll maybe splice it, but I will try and keep it as natural as possible. So The first guitar we'll look at is the electric, which I got when I was 13 years old, and let's look at that and talk a bit more about it. So here we are. This is the Gibson Epiphone that I got when I was 13 years old. So this is circa 1985, 86. And it was, my mum and dad got it to me. I'd been playing, as a child, I played the flute, and it was one of those things. I hit my teens and I thought, nah, this isn't cool anymore. So, and I just lost the love for it. And then my mum and dad got me an electric guitar, this one, and bless it, it's been in every attic, cupboard and storage space in its life, and it barely got used. And I was pretty sure it was done for until my dad last year took it to a shop called Frets in Blackpool, and I did mention this in a previous vlog briefly, but they took it to a shop in Blackpool called Frets, and they brought it back to life, cleaned it all up, restrung it, did all sorts to it, and I mean, honestly, it's just gorgeous. It's such a nice guitar, and I treated myself to this lovely electric DAT strap, leather DAT strap, which is really comfortable and beautiful leather. And it was only £20. They're usually 40, I think. I've ordered another one in brown, sort of light tan, for the semi-acoustic here, which I think's arrived actually. I need to pick it up from where it is. So yeah, so this is the electric. Now the bonus of the electric is that if you're learning things like bar chords, for example, it's much easier to get the gist of that on an electric because it requires less pressure to get the chords on an electric. So, you know, at the moment I'm just learning some basic bar chords, and it doesn't require much pressure on the electric to get them down. Now, when you first start bar chords, they don't sound like anything like a chord. It takes ages to get the strength in your hand to, well, I say ages, I mean, if you keep practicing for a few weeks, you'll soon start getting them. But much easier if you've got an electric to practice them on first. Without any doubt, I would say that it's worth having an electric if you're just starting out. It's more gentle on the hands. That said, I've been practicing more on the acoustic because it's easier to pick up without plugging everything in and what have you. I mean, I've got it set up pretty easily to plug in. The other bonus is you can play the electric with the amp. You can plug the headphones in, and then you're not annoying anyone because obviously the sound that comes out of the guitar itself is minimal. So you can have the headphones on while and have it mega loud and enjoy it to that extent. And then of course if you've got a nice little amp like I've just treated myself to, you can get all sorts of sound. You know, if you want to play heavy metal or rock or whatever, you can get all those sorts of sounds out of it. The other nicety is that if you wanted to practice, you know, chord variations and jumping between chords, or, you know, just in general, just getting comfortable with the guitar, you can do it. You know, just don't plug it in. Just take the electric with you to the couch while you're watching your favourite show or whatever, and you can just strum away, and it won't interfere with the show because it really doesn't make that much noise when you're strumming it without it being plugged in. So there are some niceties with the electric. It was never my big plan to become like a solo guitarist type person. So it was always about chords and getting strumming patterns, riffs. If I can learn some riffs of songs, that'd be awesome. However, just recently I've started just practicing the first pentatonic scale E minor, I think, which is the very basic one you're meant to learn first, just to get used to how it all works with picking away at notes. And it also helps you learn the whole fretboard, you know, so it is, I think, important even just to do the pentatonic scales, and there's another one as well which I'm forgetting the name of, but the pentatonics at least, just to get familiar with your fretboard. So it's something I'm sort of dabbling in, but we'll come to my practice routines in a minute. So there you are. So that's the Gibson Epiphone Electric. We'll take a look now at my very basic guitar, the one that I've been using for at least 15 years, but it's been the only one I had access to for that length of time. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so this is the full acoustic guitar. I can't plug this into anything. It is just acoustic. It's a Brunswick, which, I mean, I'd never heard of the name before. When I picked it out it was a gift. I think it was about £80 or £90. It wasn't anything too silly price-wise. I suppose entry-level guitar to get practicing on. I love the sound that came out of it, and I love the colour of it. However, I did find it particularly hard on the fingers. I don't know to this day why, but it just feels very tough on the fingers compared to my dad's one that he gave me last year, which we'll talk about in a minute, the semi-acoustic. So other than that though, it's been fantastic. It's got a narrow neck though, so I found with this other one, the semi-acoustic, I've got a bit more room. I've got quite long fingers, so I did find this a little bit of a struggle. If you're picking out a guitar at a shop, you really want to just, and even if you can't play any chords yet, at least just try and get a feel, or even before you go and pick one out, maybe just have a, even just a C chord, which is only 3 fingers, or an A minor, again, which is 3, just to see how close your fingers are together, how much room you've got, and just try that on a couple of guitars, because just the slightest of differences in the neck width is, it makes all the difference, as I've found out with my dad's semi-acoustic, which is just a joy to play. But I always loved it. It was quite a rock and roll sound came out of this. So it's quite, I don't know how else to explain it other than that. It just sounded quite rock in comparison to some of the others. This one sounds much richer in its tone. But this has been a fantastic guitar to learn all the basics, other than being quite sore on the fingers when I was practicing. And it's been, as I say, it's been the only one I've access to for quite a number of years. So this is the one that I've been at least getting all the basic chords down with. And then I was lucky enough for my dad to give me this one last year. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so this is the semi-acoustic guitar. It is a Gibson Epiphone, as is the electric that we were just looking at. And this is so this is semi-acoustic. It can be plugged into the amp, or it can just be played as an acoustic, which is what I do with it most of the time. It's just so much more comfortable on my fingers to play than that other one is. And it's got a really rich tone to it. It's a really beautiful sounding guitar. Everybody that's picked this guitar up in the history of this guitar has went, oh, that's got a nice sound to it. So I adore this guitar. It's absolutely gorgeous to play. And this is my go-to guitar now. The Brunswick kind of sits in the corner in case, I don't know, in case my dad comes around and we both want to play or what have you. Or I'll go to the electric. So it's really the electric and the semi-acoustic that I'm drawn to at the moment. But I try and bounce between the two, because if you spend too much time on the electric, your hands don't stay as strong as they should be for playing the acoustic, in my personal opinion. I found that when I was learning the bar chords recently. I spent about 3 or 4 days on the electric. When I came back to the acoustic, I really felt it was quite hard work. So I've been forcing myself onto the semi-acoustic a fair bit. Okay, so the go-to equipment that I have, well, that's the go-to guitars that we have. Obviously, I've got several picks for strumming with. Now, you obviously a much louder sound when you go to the... I find myself not using the picks very often, simply because when I'm practicing, I feel like just using my hands enough. Plus, I feel like I can get slightly better strumming patterns with my fingers and thumbs doing something more natural with the hand. I mean, these are great if you're going to start doing the pentatonic scales and that sort of stuff. Actually picking out notes and soloing. So you definitely want to have some plectrums if you're going to be doing solo work, in my opinion, unless you're going to be cool and use a coin like the guy from Queen, Brian May. But yeah, so I don't really use them very much unless I'm trying to practice the pentatonic scales and stuff like that. And the other go-to item that you're probably going to want is, if you want to enjoy singing away to yourself and play, that the best thing you can probably do is what I do whenever I go, you know what, that'd be a really nice song to play. And then I Google it, and you'll find that the first 2 things that come up in Google have got some great chords. If you just type in the name of the song, chords, and you'll get sites where people have posted in, here's a really easy way to play this song. Now, it might not be the 100% correct way to play the song, but it will be a really cool way of you being able to sit and play it by yourself using the basic chords and then every now and then you'll go, oh, that's a new chord shoved in there, and then that will give you a reason to learn something new. So that's the way I've been going about it. However, in order to do that, you need to be able. It needs to be in a key that you can sing it in, and an awful lot of the stuff. So if we were doing a bit of Elvis, wise men say, that's a little bit low for me. So pop the old capo on. Now these capos are awesome. Back in the day, there used to be like a whole wraparound thing, and they clicked and what have you. But these are brilliant. They literally you can just slide them up and down the guitar dead easily. And now you get used to it. Things feel a little bit different as you move up the fret. Wise men say. Much nicer tone in my voice when I can bring it up a key. Whereas the lower end of my voice is the more bland, boring part, which I don't like using. So once we move up a little bit, my voice is much happier in that range. So that allows you to play exactly the same chords and just bring it up the fretboard. So they're a go-to item. I've got two of them. I've got that one, and I've got exactly the same, but just a different colour. I tend to use that one on. Actually, I tend to use it on this. I don't know why I picked that one up. I tend to use that one on the electric if I need it, just for the colour. It's colour coordination, people. Got to have your capos a decent colour. Ain't you? So yeah, we'll probably stick that on actually for now. So there you are. So that's pretty much all I've needed, and obviously with the amp. If you're going to plug in an electric guitar, you need a cable to plug it in. So I've got a cable as well. Outside of that, that's what I have. That said, that looks like I've got an awful lot of stuff. All you need is one guitar. That's all you need. And if you haven't got one yet, try and look at as many as you can in a guitar shop within your price range, and just try and pick one you think fits your type of hand best. It could be you have a little hand, therefore you want a nice narrow neck. Could be you've got longer fingers like me and you want a little bit more depth in the neck, so on and so forth. And it might just be that there's some similar guitars there and you just prefer the sound, the look, the feel, whatever. Go with what you're comfortable with. So that's the equipment all sorted out. Let me refer to my notes, people, as to what was next. So yeah, so let's get on to, well, up until this point, the journey has been this. I've done very, very early on when I got the Brunswick, which is the first time I kind of tried to rediscover playing the guitar. And I was, about 30 or something like that, I think. And at that point, literally, the only thing I can remember trying to play was Bryan Adams' Heaven. And it was an interesting one to learn because the chords weren't hard, but the chord changes at certain points were fast, even though it's a slow song. So I spent ages trying to master this particular. I'm trying to remember if I sing it in that key or not. So when you're playing it, the chords aren't that hard. You've got a C and an A minor and a G to start off with. I might not. Thinking about our young years. It was only you and me. You were young, wild, and free. So, and then the quick key changes coming in there are when you get to the chorus and it's "Baby, you're all that I want." Now that sounds relatively simple, but firstly, F is the first difficult chord that you're going to try and learn, and it's because you have to hold down two strings with your. There's several ways to play F, I might add. One's a bar chord way. I play a true F, I think it's called, which is holding down the first two strings with your first finger, and then the others come up. I'm not going to be teaching chords as such on this. I'm not a teacher. I'm just showing you my journey. So getting F right every time. I still hit a duffer every now and then, but that's the first tricky note you're going to have to try and get your head around. So it's basically F to G to A minor to do the baby, you're all that I want. And that little section there, I went over it and over it and over it and over it, and it stuck with. I mean, once I knew it and once I was happy with it, even when I hadn't touched the guitar for ages, I was still able to do that little section quite quickly. And that is kind of the key to learning guitar. The problem with that is that it gets quite boring if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So what I tend to do with my practice sessions is I'll play a little bit of stuff just to get warmed up. I'll play something that I like, something that I already know, sing a little bit of it in my head or out loud, as I normally do, and just that makes me feel good for a start off, because I'm just singing away a song that I'm happy with, and then I'll move on to something that is more difficult, something that I haven't done before, or I might pick a new song. I might say, oh, I'd quite like to learn how to play a song I was listening to in the guitar, and I'll Google it and just see how difficult it is to play. Now, bear in mind that a lot of the chords you'll find people giving you to play aren't necessarily the actual chords that are played in the song, or it might be a cut down version of the chords, but they will give you a simpler way of playing them to get you started. And that's basically all I've done up until pretty recently. And then I thought, I want to know a bit more about it. So I started watching tutorials from Steve Stein and other such people. There's loads of really good guitar teacher channels out there. And you just Google what it is that it's like, how do you do that? Or how do you do this? Or listen to some podcasts or watch some vlogs from these sorts of guys. And they do loads of stuff for beginners. And they're really, really interesting, because you start thinking about things that you hadn't before, and things become less daunting as well. And a lot of them, the really good ones like Steve Stein and other people, they'll say like, the most important thing is to keep it fun. If you don't keep it fun, you'll put it down and you won't go back to it for another 5 years, which is what's been happening to me. So I've got a number of songs that I can play. There's a few I can play all the way through. Well, I could play all the way through up until maybe a month or so ago, but I haven't been practicing them. I've probably forgotten half the words. But there's several songs I can play pretty much all the way through, and there's some songs that I know a large chunk of, but I don't know how to play them all the way through. And one of those is Fools Rush In, Wise Men Say. I can't remember what it's called now, but the Elvis song that we were just playing. I can play. And to be honest, I actually discovered that by mistake, and I'm actually not playing it 100% true. I think there's an F in there as well, which I'm not throwing in. But there is a section in that song which is using chords that I haven't learnt yet, mainly being B7 and A7. Everything else I know, I just haven't bothered learning the rest of the song. So it wouldn't be that much of a leap for me to learn the whole song all the way through, which is probably what I'm going to do for the first song that I will do as a song video. So we're going to try and do, I've just jotted the chords down because I always get the order mixed up. So you've got, and I've put the capo on so that it brings it up to a bit more my voice style. Wise men say only fools rush in. I can't help falling in love with you. So I had a little blunder in the middle there, but you get the idea. And there's also, after that, a bit that says, like a river flows surely to the sea. That's the bit that I don't know. And that's, well, I don't generally sing it. I just sit and strum that other piece because I found it natural with the chords that I already know. So that bit is the bit I need to learn. And I think what I'll do this week in preparation for, well, either in preparation for the next vlog or I'll make it the song to go with this vlog, I'll learn that piece and I will make that the first song that I do, because it's a beautiful song. It's not that hard to play. I think it's only got two verses and then several choruses, so there's not that much in the way of words to remember. And we'll try and make that the first piece. I was going to sing something that I already knew, but then I thought, well, all of which are relatively simple and they're all using the basic chords. They've generally all got C, G, I think that one's a D minor, which is not standard as such. But then you've got D, you've got an A, an E. I mean, these are not, E, A minor. These are all really, really heavily used chords, and they're not that difficult. So you can learn so many songs with those basics. The one, well, I don't, A7 I'm not sure of. B7 I looked at before the vlog started, and it's not that difficult. I think we were somewhere in the region of... So that's a B7. That's a new chord to me that I just had a look at before we did this vlog. Like a river flows. So it's a jazzy kind of chord. And that's your E minor, which is also in that section, but I already knew that one. Now, it's all very well me picking out that chord there, but it's a very different story to actually just go to it like you can with the time frame you've got in the song. So that's where the practice comes in. It's not necessarily just playing the chord, it's being able to play it quickly without looking at the thing and going, oh, where am I? And that's, again, where I am with bar chords. So we'll try that. We'll try that for the, if no one's been overly offended by my voice in this video, then we'll try that as our first song. And I'll try and do that. I'm on holiday this week, so I will make a point of getting practicing through the rest of this week. We're on Wednesday now, so I'll try and get a bit of practice in through the rest of this week and see how close I can get to maybe doing it as a full song for the weekend or into next week. So yeah, song-wise, we'll go with that plan. I'd like to pick out something that's kind of testing me a little bit each week, but I will throw in the ones that I already know as well. I mean, we've got a Bryan Adams one, obviously Heaven. Again, is a song that I can play the main parts of, and obviously that section I was showing you earlier, but I don't ever play it all the way through, so that's one that we can do. There's also an Avril Lavigne song that I'm forgetting the name of. I can be strong, I can be tough. In fact, I got that the wrong way around. I can be tough, I can be strong, but with you, I'm not like that at all. There's a boy who gives a shit behind this wall, just walk through it. If anyone can remind me what that's called. And obviously it's a girl when she sings it. But we've got that one which I can kind of play all the way through. There's a talking section in that song which I don't touch. I'd leave that to her. So you can kind of mess around with songs like that though, you know, like when I do some of these songs, there's usually a guitar solo in the middle, there's usually a set of space, you know, which you can cut that down when you're doing it yourself. I'm trying to think now. Another thing I've been trying is trying to get some finger picking going on over here instead of just strumming. And one song I learnt that with was it's a Katie Mello. I sang it, but it's a song from the 80s from The Cure, is it? Yeah, okay. I was just trying to get the tune in my head there. Show me how you do that trick, the one that makes me laugh, she said, the one that makes me scream, she said, and threw her arms around my neck. Show me how you do it, and I promise that I'll run away with you, I'll run away with you. So that's my first attempt at, or was my first attempt at not strumming and actually doing something with this hand. And that literally is just, you're picking the first two out, up down the way, and then doing with the bottom two fingers up the way the next two. And it's just a case of practicing or watching other people and their strumming techniques. I'm pretty sure I heard my dad doing that at one point when I was a lad, and it just seemed fairly natural when I picked it out. You can do, and there's there's all sorts of things you can mess around with that I've not spent much time with, but that's the one that funnily enough, there's a bit in that song where you have to go from E. So after the bit I've just sung, you have to go from E to F, and that should have been really easy, but even to this day it's still a bit of a duffer every now and then. So it's still a song in works, but I can pretty much play it all the way through. So we've got lots we can play with there. So that's pretty cool, and we'll try and pick out several of those to play as we go through the weeks. Okay, so I think that'll do us for the first vlog. We covered a lot there. I mean, we were covering sort of lots of different ways you can keep your practicing interesting, which is what I'm trying to do. Hopefully giving you a feel for how easy it is to learn some simple tunes, find them, Google them, learn them using the basic chords so you can get enjoyment out of your practice, along with putting some tough stuff in there for you to push yourself more every week. It's important that you don't not push yourself, because then it becomes monotonous as well. So you want to learn that new stuff along with keeping yourself happy each practice. It's just getting that balance right so that you always want to pick it up. One key thing, always keep your guitar out. Don't put it in a case. I've got all of mine on stands. Yeah, you'll have to dust them, but if you put it in a case, it sounds stupid, but you will not. It will be like, oh, I can't be bothered getting out of the case. It is like that. But mine is sat here, and every time I go to cook something or spend time in this kitchen or sit down, I pick it up and I start playing it. If you have it out, you'll always pick it up at some point. And, you know, even if that's only every other day, it's still better than it would be if it was in its case. So it's really important. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments below if you've enjoyed this sort of change in my well, not a change, but this direction I'm going in with this new vlog series. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it. I'm really looking forward to doing some more and doing some songs for you guys. And yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments below. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you in this brand new musical vlog, and I shall see you all next time. Take it easy, folks. Bye.